Good evening, Friday night. It's not that chilly. We're gonna do some stuff to the teal truck. Last night I went ahead and replaced my idler arm. The idler arm controls the tie rod, steering component. When you lift up the passenger tire, if you move your tire and if you see that idler arm shifting, you know it's bad. So mine was bad. Went ahead and replaced it with the Napa one. Super easy to do. 3/17 mil, and then you just gotta press it out of the steering rod relay. So that's replaced. Tonight I'm gonna do some small tinkering around. I want to remove this bottom valance. This is a front bumper bottom valance. All this is just a really thin sheet of metal that kind of protects the bottom here. So I want to remove that because in the future I want to do something different. So I need to do that to all my truck. I also went ahead and installed a skid plate on my truck because we're pretty much done with the bottom, doing the engine work. And then if there's anything else that we need to do, I'll let you guys know. But for the most part, I just want to get this bottom valance out, so I'll show you guys how to do that. It's very common for these bottom valance to get destroyed because they're at the bottom of the front end. Mine is slightly damaged already and I don't really care too much for it. The only thing I can say that's nice about this is that the bottom valance add an extra protection right here that protects the radiator. So once you remove this, your radiator is a little bit more exposed. But again, this truck here, I've decided I want to keep this truck strictly for daily only, street, not off-road purpose. I got my crazy monster Land Cruiser whenever I want to go crazy, so this it won't matter to me. A quick look on what I need. So the way you get to this bottom valance is there's some 10 mil that shoots from this main bumper that bites into this bottom valance here, and that's how you remove it. Alright, so if I recall, I believe they're 10 mil bolts. Let's see if I can get some of them out. Yeah. There's 1, 2. They're kind of tricky to get to. Yep, 10 mil. They're 10 mil screw bolts, so it's not a regular bolt, it's a screw bolt. It has a little pointing because it bites into a plastic female nut. So you can see it's coming off already. Yep, this one's out already. So they use these kind of nut here, 10 mil pointy, which is like the same one that they use for fenders and such, or the fender wheels. So I'll show you guys that. I don't think I'm gonna keep these, so we'll set them aside. Make sure you dispose them properly. You don't want to throw these around your driveway because if you run into one of these, you're gonna have a flat tire. I bought these little red tray here. These red trays are originally used for holding pizza dough. So this pizza place, they were selling a bunch of these for $5, and these are some heavy plastic tray, and I bought these to do things like that where I can just throw stuff in here. Super nice and convenient. You can use it for a lot of stuff. You can use it to clean your parts. You know, you can put your parts in there, spray brake cleaner, and it's like a little nice tray. So should have got more. I got 4 only, $5 a piece. Close your eyes when you do this because dirt and stuff starts falling down. Whee! Where are you? There you go. Don't lose that one. So you can see how easy that was. So it looks like we only have two on each end. 2 here, 2 on the other side. And you guys can see how it exposed now. So now it exposes your radiator a little bit. But again, I'm not too worried about that, you know. Like I said, I'm not using this for off-roading, do anything crazy or anything like that. The worst case scenario is that we hit a rock. For some reason we're on the highway and a rock flies by and it hits the radiator. Or the worst case scenario, the least case scenario is that we get more flies and bugs and stuff like that. And then also there's this tab right here. You guys see that tab right here? This tab here is connected to the mount on the main bumper. So what this piece I do is I just take a grinder and just cut it right off. So easy to do enough, nothing crazy. So let me go ahead and get to the other 2 pieces. usually I'll go ahead and put some spray paint on this crossmember too, because this crossmember usually starts to fade away, and it's always nice to keep it nice and black. And also this right here, this front guard. It's the middle of winter, so I don't want to. There's really no point of spray painting stuff. It's just so cold. There it goes. One last bolt. One last screw. This one's heading in the corner here. Almost there, guys. Almost there. There it goes. So there you have it. So that's what it looks like. This is considered the bottom bumper valance, and you can see mine's dinged up here. It's not bad, you know, it still looks good and all, but you know, I just like to take them out and just keep it the way it is. Some people don't like this look right here, but I like it. It gives it a nice facelift, in my opinion. So you guys can see right here, that's the idler arm that I just replaced. And like I said, when you jack up your tire and you shake it around, you're gonna see this shaft right here move back and forth. This shaft connects to this, and that's how you kind of know when they're bad. So went ahead and replaced with the Napa. And then these two mounts that I was telling you guys about, you can't just unbolt them, because you can look right here, they're part of the main bumper. So just take your grinder and cut it right close as flush as you can. So that's pretty much it right there. So I think she looks good the way she is right now. So, and like I said, I'll go ahead and just slap on a quick paint a coat on it, give it some rust protection for the winter time. Having a power cordless drill, or drill and sawzall and grinder, is one of the best things. This is at a weird angle. I'm left-handed. When it comes to some power tools. I shoot with my right hand. I write with my right hand. I use the knife with my left hand. I throw a football with my left hand. So it's kind of awkward. And I'm right eye dominant. So I know that if I go like this, sparks are gonna start shooting at me. So I might stand over here. Weird angle. Okay, so if I go like this, the spark will shoot towards that way. And there you go, just cut them out. Looks nice and flush. This side fits my hand because I'm left hand. I'm gonna be able to cut this way. There you go. Easy enough. This plastic piece is almost done. I wonder if I should cut that out. Cut that out. We're not gonna prep this, guys. Something like this is gonna fade over time. Like this thing right here, you gotta need to refresh it every 2 months or so, every month or so. So whenever it comes to something like this, I don't care about prepping it. I don't care about cleaning it, sanding it, priming it. Just take your black spray paint and just retouch it. This is a bad bottle. It's very cold, so I'm not sure how good this stuff is gonna cure, but at least there's something on it. in the summertime we'll make it a little bit more prettier. But for now, a little bit gets on the radiator, not a big deal. It looks so much nicer with black now. We're gonna go ahead and use the rest of this bottle. Do the tow hook. Do the front bumper mount, and we'll use the rest on the skid plate. All right, that's about it for this bottle. I don't want to crack a new can yet, so we'll do that for now. The 3-4 truck has been running great. Just so you guys know, we are past the 500-mile mark since we done this engine swap about what, 2 weeks ago. So we're past 500 miles. I think we done 560 miles already. I went ahead and did my first oil change on it when it passed around 350 miles. I was gonna wait till 500, but I couldn't wait enough, so it's all good. My next oil changes will be right around springtime, or once around maybe April, which we should be around like 1,000 miles. I daily this every day now, so I've been putting a lot of miles on it, but I'm gonna wait till spring, and then once spring is over, I'll probably change it for fall season, vice versa like that. When I do my oil changes on my vehicle, I kind of do them by season, or I keep an eye on the mile. I do track the mileage of when I change my oil. So most of the time I always do it around every 3,000 mile, or if that doesn't come first, then I just do it every season. So on my Land Cruiser, I like to do it springtime, right before the hunting season, which is like September, and then after the hunting season's over, I do it again, and then it goes back to the springtime. So I do about 4 oil changes per year on my Land Cruiser, just because I use that for off-roading. But for this truck here, I'll probably do it twice a year, or the most maybe 3 times a year. Springtime, fall time, and if I want to, maybe in the middle of winter time if I feel like doing it, or if I need to do it. So that's usually how I like to roll for my oil changes. Oil changes are cheap enough because I do it myself. You know, 22 bucks for a gallon, and then the oil filter is about, you know, $8. So at the most 35 to 40 bucks every oil changes, which is really affordable. I know people that go to the oil change shop, they're paying almost 100 bucks because they don't have the place, the knowledge, or the time to do it. So I don't mind doing my own oil change. It's cheap enough, and I don't mind doing it enough. So right now there are a few things that I still have to do on this teal truck. At the time right now, they're not super important. You know, the 2 fenders that I got from that one junk rig, I want to swap them into this truck. While I do that, I want to replace the grill. This grill here is missing the letter A, and it says Toyota, which is nice. I don't mind this older grill. This is the older version grill where it says Toyota. The newer grill has the logo. So I want to change the fender, put the new grill on. While I do the new fenders, I'm going to change this hood too, so that the hood matches the fenders. And also this metal piece right here. This is the I guess you can call it the hood cowl, the middle piece that sits between the wipers. I got the matching piece too, so we're gonna have a navy blue fender hood, and also it's gonna match with the doors. The doors aren't really navy blue, but it's more like that dark greenish color, so they're all gonna fit really well together. And then after that, if I want to make it match, I just gotta paint the bed or something like that, or get a black bed. But I don't really care too much about the color. I don't mind the mix match. So that's pretty much it, guys. I don't have really much to do right now. Like I said, everything else is just on standby. Whenever I'm driving in full-wheel drive and I do like a turn or hard turn, my passenger CV is clicking. It's clicking, so I know that the CV is bad, because the passenger CV is ripped up, but it's not spilling any oil anymore or any grease anymore. So I think it's completely dry in there. Now I do have that spare new CV that we pulled from that wrecked Toyota, and that's the reason why I pulled it, because I was going to use that one on here. But again, at the same time, I don't want to do any of that yet, because my garage is at the moment occupied with my new truck, my 94, so I don't want to do that. And if I do go and do that CV replacement, I want to do the brake calipers, the rotors, and the brake pads, because this one here they're pretty much bad. They're not squeaking yet, but I know they're bad because I inspected them already. So maybe in the next month or so, once I get all those braking components, we'll go ahead and do a full dive in and replace that CV axle and all the front brake suspension. But for now, we're just gonna drive it the way it is. It runs great, it drives fine, stops good, and it's really nice, fun truck. The only thing is that it's so light that when you're in two-wheel drive, sometimes you fishtail. I got about maybe 300 to 400 pounds of sandbag in the back tail, but even with that, you know, it still wants to fishtail here and there. So when it does that, I just keep it in four-wheel drive. I was driving this in four-wheel drive on the highway, and I can do like 50 miles an hour completely safe, no wobbles or anything like that. So fun rig, guys, super fun rig. We'll go ahead and wrap up this video. Just want to make it short. Like I said, I don't have anything to do right now besides tinker around, and that's pretty much it. The 94 that I bought came with a topper. I went ahead and put that topper onto this truck just so that I can run around, carry trash, carry parts, and don't have to worry about putting snow, because right now this truck's gonna be outside, and if we get another snowstorm, I'm tired of cleaning snow inside my bed. So went ahead and put the topper here. And again, on the 94, I'm gonna leave it topper-less because I don't want a topper anyways. So maybe when I'm done all this stuff, I'll probably go ahead and get rid of that topper. So I hope you guys enjoy, hope you guys have a great weekend. I'll see you guys in the next video. Much love, bye bye.